Welcome to the 5% Club with your hosts Maria Mejia and David Pataki as they dig deep into what it takes to start, grow, and take your business to new levels. They do this by demystifying common mistakes, roadblocks, and pitfalls by handing you strategies, tips, and hacks. Get your pen and paper ready because here they are.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the
5% Club with
Maria Mejia, your imported accountant, and
yours truly, David Pataki, the Panastic business coach.
yours truly. That's like the sign off. That's what you write at the end of a letter. This is the beginning, David. Come on.
Yes, but I'm
Can't talk
here
out yet.
right, but I'm here truly for the listeners of this podcast that we've been doing here.
Yeah. So it's so great being able to be here again to, expound and share all of our knowledge with you. So, David, is there anything specifically that you wanted to cover today?
Yeah, I think one of the things that people talk to me about or ask me about is, how do I reactivate stale clients? I think that's something that we should tackle today. Because a lot of times, people, new customers are the business owner's personal addiction. That we can't get enough of them. And 99% of the marketing messages in the world today exists for one reason only: to pull in new customers. And business owners are hammered over and over again that they need new customers. Now, listen, if you are a relatively new business, then of course you need new customers. But if your business has been around for some time and you have current customers, you can experience serious business growth by targeting marketing to those customers. So it always amazes me when a business will go to all that trouble to develop a new client, only then to completely forget all about that client after the initial transaction. It seems ludicrous to me that you would invest the time, the money, the effort into finding a prospect, developing them into a client, then let them wander off, never to be communicated again. So keep in mind the golden rule for business success is, Maria?
Is never let a customer or client forget about you. Now, this doesn't make it, easy. It doesn't make it much easier to keep your happy customers and clients coming back to you again and again. But when they do come back, the profit margin is substantially higher than that if you had, kept on seeking new customers or having to, have a list of cold prospects.
Right. So let's talk about that. The profit margin is substantially higher, as it was what you said. So what we want to do is we're going to take a look at that. So it usually costs a lot more to onboard a new client. There's the marketing message that needs to go out there, right? And whether it's AdWords or whether it's postcards and postage or whatever it is, there's a cost to acquire that new customer. But it's not just the advertising cost of it as well. There's the initial investment to develop that relationship, to move that client along the sales process. Because you got to remember the time that people spend onboarding a new client needs to be factored in. That time that you're building that relationship, that needs to be factored in the cost of acquiring a new client, right? It could be $150, it could be $300, whatever that is, you have to factor that in. But once you've got that client, when you start marketing to them, they already know you. They don't need to be convinced to work with you because they've already bought from you. So that $150, $300 acquisition cost isn't there anymore. So if you're able to reconvert a stale client, then you're saving a good chunk of that initial cost. That is the profit savings that we're talking about here.
Yeah. So there are a few strategies, so about 5 strategies that you can use to bring back some of your past clients, so that it can be more successful when they do decide to come back to you. If you use these strategies, it's more likely to convert. So strategy number 1 is what is called the reactivation letter. So this is simply sending out all of your past clients who you haven't heard from or you haven't dealt with in the last 6 or so months, where you just send out a letter saying, hey, thinking of you, miss working with you. As we've seen, there's a different variations of this letter, but the general idea is to just be back in contact with them. Apologize for not being able to connect with them for a while. Let them know that you value them as a client and you would love to see them back with you again. This particular strategy works well in transactional type businesses, but it can also be adopted to be really working with any type of businesses that you have. We sometimes get what we might consider kind of spammy emails or letters saying, hey, haven't heard from you in like forever. But you can use that and be a bit more creative, less spammy sounding, to kind of reconnect with those clients. Some of them might not, buy from you right away from that first letter, but as you continue to nourish them over either the weeks or the months, they will more likely come back to you because they'll remember like, hey, I had a great business transaction with them last year and they're still, thinking of me throughout the year. I'm going to go back to them again for the same service.
Right. And with all of these that we're going to talk about, the one key thing to remember is most likely your competition is not doing the same thing. As Maria said, you could apologize for not being in touch for a while. Just be human. You're saying, you know what? You're out there. Sorry, we haven't been in touch for a while. Love to reconnect, so on and so forth. Just that little nudge to remind them that you are thinking about them is a lot of times enough just to have them reach back out to you. Now, a second strategy we could look at is what we like to call an exclusive, irresistible offer, right? So if the apology or just a reach out is not going to be strong enough, then you must give them a reason for them to come back. And the easiest way to do that is to create an irresistible offer exclusively for past clients. Make them an incredible offer that they can't refuse and get them back doing business with you. Once they're back in the fold as a happy paying customer again, then they're far more likely to continue. But what we want to look at here again is that, remember, the cost to acquire a new client, you need the numbers. Maria and I, we've hammered this over and over again. If you really want to thrive in business, you need to know your numbers. So if you know what it costs you to acquire a new client, then you've got up to that amount to put into an irresistible offer, right? Even, let's say, for example, if it costs you $150 to get a new client, but then you say, you know what, I'm going to offer something which is going to be a $75 off coupon, right? Which actually means that it's going to cost you half the amount it would cost you to get a new client, to onboard a new client, but now you've reinvigorated that relationship. And again, once they're back into the fold, so to speak, then they will likely buy from you again. And then that, so that $75 investment was well worth it.
Yep. I like to think of this as kind of my Vistaprint. No offense to one of our printer friends that we have out there, but Vistaprint gets my business every now and then because, they'll send me an email saying, hey, thanks for being a member of our Vistaprint club. Here's, a special discount for you. So thinking of either, special little discounts that you can give to your former clients, because maybe that's all they need to come back to you and purchase from you. Now, it doesn't have to be something really big, like, get 50% off, 75% off your next purchase or your next service. It can be something pretty simple. And this kind of segues into strategy number 3, which is offer new products or services. Sometimes your clients or customers just simply get bored. They move on because, you're just peddling the same old stuff. You have the same old perfume, you're doing the same old service, nothing too interesting. But it's really important to keep developing new products and new services and doing it in ways that kind of builds your products and services and kind of has a different variation of everything. This way, you're always having a reason to go back to them. So, for example, I'm an accountant. The basics that I do is, bookkeeping and tax filing. Well, there's a bunch of kind of nuanced things that I can add or take out, payroll, filing GST taxes, business owners taxes, financial reports, hands on, hands off. There's a bunch of variations of two very, very simple services. So think of your business. What are the basic services that you give? And what are some more nuanced things that you can add or subtract from those to kind of make them different, make them fresh, and then advertise that to your former customers?
Right, and what you should be thinking about this anyways, new products or services, or even just a way to bundle the services together. I mean, this should be part of your strategy anyways. But once you do that, why not reach out to your existing clients, even the ones that bought from you last week or last month, but specifically, definitely the ones that are in, last 6 months or last year. Reach out to them. Let them know that you've got better or bundled services, or even a new product or service that all together, right? But if you know your client base, if you know your target market, then you can develop those new products or services, or even the new ways to bundle them together. That is actually exciting. It adds them, it gives them more value, right? So that's what you want to be looking at. I mean, you should be doing that on a regular basis anyways. Mm-hmm. Strategy number 4 would be some sort of client appreciation, right? You should value your clients and show them that you value them. And one of the best ways to do that is through some sort of client appreciation strategy. And this could take many forms. But one of the best ways to do it is to hold a client appreciation workshop or seminar, or even a webinar if you need to, complimentary to your clients and past clients. Invite them all and provide real value for them. You'll be amazed at how they will respond, and how their enthusiasm for doing business with you will be reignited. You got to think about even today's world we're in right now. We're sort of coming out of the pandemic. In-person client appreciation day would be phenomenal. Weather's warming up. We're talking to you. We're talking to you from Ontario, Canada, right now, depending on where you are in the world. Summer or winter is just leaving us. Spring is upon us. Warm weather is coming. Look at planning a barbecue or appreciation where it's outdoors, that people still feel safe enough that they can socially distance if that's what they want. But just give them back, whether it's just a food appreciation, or if you want to have some specials. Right? If you have a bricks and mortar location, you can have some discounts or some bundled opportunities, anything like that. But what you're doing is saying to your client and your former clients or stale clients, look, we appreciate you and your business.
Yep. And this could also be a great opportunity to introduce your preferred vendors, your joint ventures. Have it out there. Be like, we appreciate everything that you guys do, and we also want to make your life easier. So we've partnered with, AB company to, bring you this exclusive discount just for our customers. So that's another way to show that appreciation to them. Something else very simple that you can do is to, just simply say thank you. We live in a fast-paced world where, very few people take that time to simply say thank you. So most customers and clients feel unappreciated, which is why they wander off over time. So never to be heard from again. So why not send them a simple handwritten card to let them know that you're thinking of them, and just to say thank you, and just to post your gratitude. At the very least, it will help you maintain top of mind awareness with them. Something that I, heard from in a group that I went to not too long ago is, how much do you appreciate receiving a letter in the mail that's not a bill? Your customers will be very grateful. Like it doesn't have to have advertisement on it. It doesn't have to be like, thanks for being our customer. Here's 25% off. It can just be a very simple, something you either print off at home or pick up at Staples and just write, hey, thanks for being an amazing customer. You guys are amazing. You help my business be sustained through these hard times. Just let them know that that they're appreciated. And it does mean more if it is handwritten. It kind of gives the idea of there being more thought put into it.
Right, and this should be not just part of your reactivation of stale clients strategy. This should be part of your regular strategy. I would, buy in bulk, buy 200 cards or whatever it is, go to the dollar store, however you want to get a hold of these cards. But obviously it depends too. I mean, if it's a $5 purchase, then that's not something. I know I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but I mean that's not something you necessarily want to send a thank you card. But I mean, for sure, whether it's a thank you card or a birthday card, if you take that type of information, again, the better your clients, with that relationship, right? If if you're a mortgage broker, definitely at the anniversary of when they took over their new home, you should be sending that. While you were talking to them, you probably should have found out maybe what their wedding anniversary was and their birthdays or their kids or so on. And that just gives you that, 3, 4, 5 touch points a year to keep top of mind. And like Maria said, it doesn't have to be, buy for me, buy for me. Just that simple appreciation of you sending a card, it goes a long way because nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing that anymore. They're all thinking, oh, we'll just send an email or some sort of virtual card. It's not the same thing. Yes, maybe you think a little bit, if you get a virtual card, the whole Facebook, when your birthday comes, you get like 20, 30, 40, 100 people, whatever it is, on your birthday timeline or on your timeline going, oh, happy birthday. You never talk to them for the rest of the year, and all you get is that birthday little wish on your Facebook feed. And you go, well, you know what? How genuine is that? Mm-hmm. So just think of it like that when it comes to virtual emails or something with happy birthdays. If, when you get a card in the mail, it's handwritten, you open it up, you go, yeah, that feels good. They took the time to reach out to me under their busy schedule and say, I'm thinking about you.
Yep. So the key is to just have regular contact with them. So kind of transitioning now, David, is there maybe a certain way that we should be selecting what clients we should be reaching out to in what ways? Because I'm assuming just like the buyer's journey, everyone's at a different level of the timeline of the buyer's journey. Either they're just researching or they're ready to buy now, or they're somewhere in between. Are there maybe some different strategies or steps that we can take to kind of narrow down which of these strategies we might want to use?
Well, yeah, I mean, you need to figure out who you want to select to reactivate. And one of the things you need to do is make sure that you have the correct information. If you have all the correct information, then that's good. But then you also have to review the information, categorize them as either for lost business as controllable, such as they were shipped in the wrong product 2 weeks after the promised delivery date, or uncontrollable, those that have moved from the retail area or out of your service area. And if you're to blame for the failed relationship, determine whether there's value in reestablishing it. Once you select the reevacuation activation class.
We're doing tongue twisters today, huh?
That word is eluding me today. Once you select your reactivation clients, segment this group and test offers before sending money or spending a lot of money reaching them all at once. And if possible, use the lifetime value to determine which segments may yield a higher return. And when do you do the reactivation, right? This should not be a one-time event for you. for you, to save when times are tough or, business is down. This should be an ongoing activity. We talked about this before. This should just be part of your process. You onboard a new client, take down the information, use a CRM or some sort of way to remind you when you should be reaching out to them. If you're able to get any kind of anniversaries or birth dates or whatever, that should be part of it. Get their mailing address, that type of stuff. So what do you think? What are there any strategies, Maria, that we could use here?
Well,
Or steps to these strategies?
Well, I've listened to you talk a lot of times, and I'd say there's probably about 8 steps to help reactivating those clients. Besides the ones that we've previously talked about, these ones will more likely help you narrow down which of those that you should be doing. So number one is, like we always say, is who is your target market? Who are you trying to reactivate in this process? Are they people who've either stopped buying from you, 3 months, 6 months, a year ago? And if they had run a subscription service, are they people who canceled that service, 1 month, 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago? Decide first who you want to try and reactivate. If someone, bought from you, 4 years ago, and you're just getting around to sending them a, hey, thinking of you email, they're probably, they're probably a lost cause by now. You're going to have to treat them as if they're a completely new prospect. However, it might be okay to run a few different variations of a campaign if your target market, if you have different, segments of people, someone, recently unsubscribed from your services a month ago because either it's a seasonal thing and they didn't want to continue to pay for it during this slow season, or they, stopped buying from you because you changed things up too much for them. Figure out where they fit and if you really kind of want them back as your client.
Right, and if you're not sure on when the last time they bought, then I would suggest you talk to Maria and get some sort of
Right.
online or digital bookkeeping system set up. But this, you may not, I say a little bit in jest there, but the point there is you should know, what's going on with their clients. When have they bought from you? And when was the last time they bought from you? Again, I'm assuming that you want to build a very successful business. And one of the things to know is to be very aware of where your customers are. How many times they have bought from you in the past month, past year, past 2 years, or when was the last time they bought from you? If it's something that is reoccurring and they buy from you, once a month, and all of a sudden it's been 2 months since they bought from you, you should be aware of that and jump right on that. Right? So the second goal or the second step is, what's your goal? I think it's safe to assume that your goal is to have them either to consume, to have your buyers buy from you again, right? Or resubscribe to your services, or somehow reengage with your business. But are there more specific goals than that? Maybe you want to introduce a new product line that we talked about, maybe introduce a new account manager or a new staff member, or maybe you want to let them know about an upsell opportunity on something they've already owned, or maybe service on something they already use, right? Like Maria talked about, as far as, reaching out and talking about new products or services, what is it that you want to do, right? Make sure you always have a goal on what you want to do. Because if not, then you're not sure what the marketing message should be. You won't know how to position the message that you're sending out to your stale clients.
Yeah, and if you're giving out too much information, it will be too overwhelming for that former customer. If you're saying, hey, thinking of you, we just hired a new person, they're amazing, they specialize in this area, and here's a discount for it, that's a lot of information for someone to take in. Figure out specifically, what is it that you want them to know? What's like the one or two things that you want them to understand and will be the reasons that they'll come back to you? And something else to keep in mind is step number 3 is, why did these customers leave in the first place? David kind of talked about this a few minutes ago. Unlike a normal marketing campaign, you need to understand why your clients left. Did they, dislike your product or your services? Were you too expensive? Did you lack maybe some sufficient content for their particular field to keep them interested? Knowing the probable reason why they left will enable you to craft a message that addresses those issues specifically. We've talked about previously on previous episodes is, figuring out their pain points. What's the reason? What's the problem that they're having? And, how can you show that your products or services are the solution for them? Some clients will just leave, will kind of just ghost you and not let you know what the issue was. Whereas other clients, don't be scared to ask them. Be like, hey, you left or you stopped subscribing. What's the reason for that? We've seen this when we, click unsubscribe from email addresses. They'll be like, oh, sad to see you go. What was the reason? You can have something very simple like that when people have that option to unsubscribe from your service. Figure out what is the reason people are leaving you. It could be for the same reason. Your prices are too high. Okay, well, maybe you need to bring them down, or maybe you just need to completely readjust who your ideal clients are so they can afford the prices that you are that you have them at.
All right, working on that too expensive reason there, there's a couple ways to look at it. You could reevaluate your pricing structure. Are you too expensive? Without risking your profit. I mean, that's what we want to look at here. I mean, if you are the most expensive player in the market, but everybody else out there is barely making money, then no, don't reduce your costs, or don't reduce your fee. What you need to do is then look at what value can I add? What extra value can I add to my product or service that allows the client or the customer to realize that they are getting a lot more value for that price? And don't be afraid, like if you can do something automated, depending again on how many customers you have, what the whole sales process is. But there's nothing wrong with you calling people up. If it's been 2 months since they've paid or they've bought from you, and they typically buy once a month, there's no reason to call them up and say, hey, how you doing? Just checking in on you. I know a lot, usually you buy on the 24th of the month. We're approaching, a couple months later, just checking in to see, is everything okay? Any reason, anything we could do to help you? And that's like sending out a postcard or the thank you letter. It's that we care enough to call to find out what's going on. And then hopefully they will give you their real reason. They may not. And just keep that in mind too. If you are in any kind of sales, you will know that their objections, usually the first objection is not the real objection. So you have to ask the question a few times or drill down a little bit deeper and just find out, I'm not really using it, the product anymore. You could say, why is that? Is it because you found another place to buy the product? Well, yeah, we found someone that was a little bit cheaper, and then you could say, okay, well, why, you have to consider, you usually get what you pay for. If it's 100% comparable item, then that's, again, you find out, okay, well, if they're selling it for, 25% less than what I'm selling it for, why is that? Is it because they're going on skimpy margins, or are they sourcing it somewhere a lot cheaper than I am? So then you got to reevaluate. Well, do I need to be finding this a similar source where I can get that product? Or do I want to stay true to my price and my profit margin so that it can be a viable business? Because truth be known, hack life out there, or business hack right there, if you have slim margins, you're not going to stay in business for that long.
Yep.
Now, step number 4 is, what segmentation or personal data do you have? If you can segment these consumers either by a persona or by purchase habits, then you can make your reactivation campaign that much more effective. Again, the more you know, the better you can speak to them. The rules here are the same as any direct marketing campaign. Don't just send a mass, "we want you back" email. Instead, use whatever knowledge you have of the consumer in order to create a more relevant message that speaks directly to them and their particular situation. Much like, like if you are, if they're buying products, we bring up the lawn contractor, right? If they are buying the lawn, are they buying it from somewhere else, or have they just decided that they want to do the lawn care themselves, right? Or did they move, right? If they moved, again, there's something else that you can specifically talk to them about.
Yep. And to help you get a bit more of an idea of how you can segment your clients, for me, for my tax ones, like I would reach out to a single mother with a couple of kids differently than a business owner who has an incorporated business. You wouldn't send out the same touchy-feely letter to both people. I'd send a more personal letter to the individuals or the families who just kind of work for themselves and want to get through day by day, whereas the business owner would have much more sophisticated words, sound more knowledgeable to them, and build that more professional relationship confidence with them. So figure out who it is that you're wanting to talk to, and maybe what words, what languages, what phrases. We talked about those love phrases that we talked on the last episode. What will kind of get them to come back to you instead of just flat out saying, "Hey, we want you back. Give us your money." Something that you can do is what step number 5 is, and that is, split test your offers. It's fine to, send out offers to reactivate your clients, such as, we said discount codes. These guys are more or less effectively, quote unquote, dead anyways. So you're not really losing any full price purchases from them if you send them a discount. You might send them a discount and, well, obviously, this month they're not buying from you because they've been kind of dead in the water for a few months. So you're not really losing that 25%. You're actually gaining that 75%. So showing your customers that you understand them and offering them new things to meet their needs might just be enough for them to come back to you. So you can create a split test. You can create a discount for one group and then no discount for another group, and see, which one actually brings the majority of the clients back to you. This is also kind of a place where, if you want to, you can do a fully communicate your market dominating position, but you need to be sure to develop a truly compelling offer for them. So if you don't remember the key points of this lesson, you need to go back to what we said previously and figure out, what stage of the buying process or the stage of, are you in your building your plan to reactivate your clients.
Right. In the split test, I would recommend that across the board on whatever initiative that you're doing, whether it's attracting new leads, new clients, or reactivating stale clients. What you want to be thinking about is, because you'll never get it right the first time, or it's very unlikely that you'll get it right the first time. So if you A/B test stuff, then you'll be able to find which works more. And I wouldn't, let's say you have 200 clients that you want to reach out to. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm going to send 100 this test or offer and the other 100 this offer. I would do maybe 20 and 20 or 40 and 40. And then from that you could build, then you do another 40 and 40, then you could do another 40 and 40, and each time refining your message. Because again, this is not a one-off opportunity for you or a one-off strategy. This is something you want to be doing on an ongoing basis, whether it's every 6 months or whether it depends again on the buying process or the sales process of your particular product or service. Depending how often they're buying or how many clients you have depends on how often you are reaching out to them. If you're like a Vista Print where you've got thousands and thousands of clients that are buying on a regular basis, you want to be doing this, probably every couple months. But if on average you have, 50 clients a year, and you have a higher offering, then, maybe once a year you'll be doing this, or every 6 months. You got to be thinking about that. Number 6, just again, we're talking about the message. So make sure that you're focusing on the right content. Instead of just saying, we want you back, here's 15% off, make a real effort into knowing and understanding what your customers want, right? For example, let's say that you used to buy video games from you, right? You sell video games. So then talk about them, talk about what new things are happening in the video game world, right? And what new games are happening, so on and so forth, right? So, and if you run a content subscription base, highlight the new content that you've added to your site since they were last members. Put the relevant content first. Now, consumers can get a discount anywhere if they try. It's your content, your products, or your services that will be more interesting to them. So make sure that you are speaking to your clients and giving them a relevant message, as opposed to just, hey, we want you back, here's 15%.
Yeah. So understanding who your target market is will help you narrow down, okay, what information do they need to hear? Obviously, we said, creating those new offers, creating new, maybe even products or services. If these are, the clients that need that, highlight it, put that, as the top thing that you highlight in either that newsletter or even that postcard you send out to them. Let them know that you are always not reinventing yourself, trying to figure out new ways, transitioning into the future, as it were, depending on, what your segment is. Something else that you can do, step number 7 is, make it easier for them to come back. If it's been a while, there's a good chance that your customers don't even remember their username or passwords, if that is how you communicate with them. You can either send them this information via email, or you can make it really easy for them to find. If their account has been expired, we'll make it easy for them to renew, or even without re-entering any of their old information. If you offer a discount code, make it very clear where it is they need to enter that information. Make it as, kind of as dummy proof as possible. Make it a one-click, service done kind of thing. Don't make it complex where they have to, re-enter all of their information that you already have, obviously, because you've communicated with them. You've worked with them before. Don't make them resubscribe with all that information. Send them one link that gets them directly that discount, or sends them directly to that article with that new information.
Yeah, there's nothing I hate worse than going back to a site or whatever it is to buy again and have to put all my information again. I want it to be simple, easy, and you should have that information already. Let's say the credit card information or anything like that. It doesn't have to be all online. If it's people buy from you by calling you up or just sending you an email saying, these are the products I want. Just make it simple, super simple for them to do it. And then the last step that we want to talk about is, reach out through different types of channels, right? Are your consumers on Twitter? Are they on Snapchat? Are they on TikTok? Where are there? Are there ways to reach out to them by sending them a direct message to them on a different platform, right? Do you pick up the phone? Do you send out do you send an email? Do you send a postcard? Do you send a thank you card? There's a lot of different avenues that you can look at. And email is the easiest, simple, most cost-effective way to do it, but it's not always the most effective, right? So try other channels if you are really serious about trying to reactivate these clients.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, like the future is always ever changing. The way that people want to, be communicated differs depending on who your customers are. There's the regular social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, if they're actual business owners who are a bit more professional. So understanding who your ideal client is will help you narrow down which channels you should be reaching out to them.
Yeah. And while the steps that we've just discussed can be the recipe for any type of marketing campaign, there's one important difference. Reactivation marketing needs to understand how long people have been gone and why they possibly left, and what is different in your offering now, and what would compel them to come back, and what, if any, incentive they would need to make that happen. Getting customers that have already bought from you to come back is 5 times easier than convincing complete strangers to start doing business with you in the first place. Not to mention cost-wise, I don't know if it's 5 times cheaper as well, but it's definitely far cheaper to do it. Reactivating old customers is one of the quickest and most surefire ways to make more money, increase sales and profits with blinding speed. Before we finish, let's look at the numbers. Let's say a business has 100 clients and 100 former clients. If you send a compelling offer to those 100 former clients and you can convince just 5 of them to begin buying from you again, then you've just grown your revenue by 5%. That could easily be a 10 to 15% increase in profits, all with just one letter or one postcard or one email, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, we hope that, our, discussing all this has been very helpful to you, and that you've been, writing down ideas, because once you have written something down, you're part of the 5% club. So write down the steps that we've talked about, and write down a game plan on what it is that you can do to help reactivate. Use a dynamic reactivation strategy. Anything else you want to say before we jump off for the day?
Yeah, well, we said it, a few times through this. Just want to reiterate again. This should be ongoing strategy. This should be part of your business plan. You're always going to have stale clients. You're always going to, customers are going to be leaving you. It's just a fact of life. It's a fact of business. But the more attentive you can be to those clients, the more apt, or the higher percentage that they will either stay with you or buy from you again. And like I said in previously, like if they buy from you monthly basis and it's been 2 months or 3 months, that's the time to jump on board with the reactivation. You don't want to wait for a year, because that customer is probably gone for good at that point. So be aware of your customers' buying habits, and make sure that you have a plan of attack when you see that buying habit change, and reach out to them one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been a great episode. Lots of knowledge shared. So thank you, everyone, for sitting through this, either watching or listening to us. We will, let us know any of your questions or your concerns, or maybe even some ideas that you have come up with while listening to us. And we'd love to hear them, or, go over any of those questions that you have. Feel free to, send us a message either through our website or directly through our Facebook page. And remember to like, share, and subscribe, as we love sharing our knowledge with other people.
100%. And you know what? It's 5 times easier to reactivate.
We will see you guys, and you will hear us next time.